Protecting the Purpose: Why HBCUs Must Preserve Their Cultural Mission. In 2023, a video went viral of a white student happily giving a tour of her dorm at an HBCU. Within hours, thousands of comments flooded in, some asking why she was there, others calling critics racist. What looked like a harmless dorm tour turned into a national debate about who belongs in spaces built specifically for Black students during segregation. This moment revealed a deeper conflict, one that isn't about one student. It's about the identity of historically Black colleges and universities themselves. Today, I want to persuade you that although HBCUs should remain open to all students, the rising number of white students becomes a problem when it threatens the cultural mission, funding, and representation these institutions exist to protect. I'll explain why this issue matters, what we can do about it, why ignoring it is risky, and how each of us can take action. I base this speech on research from Pew Research Center and the Century Foundation, which both analyze enrollment trends and funding disparities at HBCUs. Many people argue that integration means that everyone should be able to attend any school. Legally, that is true, but this argument ignores the measurable challenges HBCUs face today. According to a 2022 Pew Research Center report, HBCUs make up only about 3% of colleges in the United States, yet they enroll 10% of all Black students and produce nearly 20% of Black graduates in STEM fields. This means that HBCUs are doing far more with far less. The Century Foundation adds that HBCUs receive far less state and federal funding than predominantly white institutions. They rely heavily on tuition to keep programs alive. So, what happens when enrollment shifts and more white students begin filling seats? Several problems emerge. Scholarships become more competitive, even those intended for Black students. Cultural spaces weaken because traditions built out of Black identity become influenced or even reshaped by people who were never the target audience, and representation drops, which affects funding for departments like African American Studies, Black Psychology, and Black History. This is not an issue that will fix itself, and ignoring it risks harming the very students that HBCUs were created to uplift. To solve this issue, we need collective, not individual solutions. First, the government can protect a percentage of scholarships specifically for Black HBCU students. This ensures access for the students these institutions were built for. Second, non-Black students who choose to attend HBCUs should be required to complete cultural competency programs that teach the history and purpose of these schools. Finally, federal funding should prioritize programs that protect and strengthen Black culture on campus, like African American Studies, Black Student Support Services, and cultural traditions. These solutions do not exclude anyone. They preserve the mission while still honoring open admissions. Now, imagine what happens if we do nothing. Imagine HBCU marching bands losing their signature sound because the majority no longer understands its cultural roots. Imagine homecoming traditions becoming watered down to appeal to people unfamiliar with their significance. Imagine African American Studies departments shrinking or closing because white enrollment increases while Black enrollment decreases. If this continues, HBCUs could slowly turn into PWIs with a different label, losing their identity, their culture, and sacred sense of belonging that they have offered Black students for more than a century. So, what can we do? We can start by educating ourselves about the purpose of HBCUs and sharing that knowledge with others. We can support policies and funding that preserve HBCU's cultural mission. We can hold non-Black students accountable for respecting the spaces they choose to enter, and we can amplify Black voices in the conversations about the future of these institutions. These actions don't require exclusion. They require awareness, respect, and intentionality. In closing, HBCUs are not just colleges. They are cultural legacies. They are the living result of Black resilience, identity, and survival. By using logos to show the measurable impact, ethos to show fairness and respect for all students, and pathos to highlight the emotional significance of these spaces, we can understand why protecting HBCUs matters. If we don't guard their cultural mission now, we risk losing not just institutions, but the history and identity they protect. HBCUs deserve more than survival. They deserve preservation. Thank you.